All this national motocross action is proudly brought to you by TRP Distributors, Cannabis Energy Drink, and their associate sponsors. Welcome to round 3 action of the TRP National Motocross Championships in association with Cannabis Energy Drink and all our associate sponsors. We're down at Thunder Valley in Pietermaritzburg and looking forward to round 3 action now. As you can see overnight, slightly different conditions here today. A little bit muddier and a little bit wetter after a big rainstorm, and lots of action expected now in these very tricky conditions. We're going to kick things off with the MX3s and ladies combined. And as we saw yesterday, big action at the front end. As they go down towards turn 1, Bridgestone corner, different lines being used today, trying to stay out of the wet stuff as they get in there. And it looks like it might just be, yes. Oh, what a move there. Ian just squeezing through. And it looks like Topless might be the man to beat you in the wet. He's got a bit of action and already a lot of attention being shown there by Brett Bircher as Bircher comes into the Prepsol turn, but he's under attack as well, as you can see, as Hubbard comes through for the very first time. Wyatt Avis in the mix as well. Watch out for Wyatt Avis. He had a great day yesterday, looking for some more action now, but with a lot more trickier conditions. And Wyatt Avis is loving life in these trickier conditions, having raced on numerous occasions and in various championships in Europe. These are the kind of conditions that will be there every single weekend. Lots of mud. Topless is on his tail. Look out for the ladies just in the background as well. Will Kayla Raff have it all her own way today in the slightly different scenario today compared to yesterday? Dry conditions and a bit dustier. Now it's very wet, as you can see. Avis just disappearing up into the fly turn now and dominating things at the front end, controlling that little gap over Topless, and Topless doing the same thing there. Equidistant just behind him is Bircher. So they're probably just trying to stay out of what would be big roost today. Front end of the ladies, once again it's Kayla Raff just showing everybody a clean pair of wheels, and probably the cleanest rider out there, having not had to take any mud from a rider in front of her. Topless now starting to put a little bit more pressure, and so is Bircher. Bircher closing on the back end of Ian Topless, and Ian Topless must be a bit weary about that. Further back, you can see in second place there, nice run. In fact, down in third place now as Jadine De Lima has just moved ever so slightly behind Natasha Regani. Regani is loving life in these conditions, which is great to see. It's going to be a nice little battle there for second place. I don't think they're going to catch this young lady, Kayla Raff, out front. She's certainly got everything right this season and has been a tough competitor to beat in the past seasons in South African motocross. De Lima, though, is doing it all right and staying upright, which is important. Topless now right on Avis's tail. How many times have we seen this in the past? Wyatt Avis versus Ian Topless. That's a couple of times in my commentary career that I've had a go at those two, especially when they're at each other's throats like they are. Looks like Topless might have made a small mistake, though, coming out of that 100% section. Yeah, he's dropped back ever so slightly. Bircher trying to stay upright and, remember, using his home ground advantage here. This is definitely a track that he would consider his home track. And last year took the overall victory, if you remember. So it looks like he's got a little bit of work to do to try and close down there on Topless as they come into that Cannabis turn. Kayla Raff just controlling things at the front, disappearing at the front to the tune of about 30-odd seconds to stay out front ahead of Natasha Regani and the two De Lima sisters. Coming out of Prepsol once again, they're going to be looking forward to getting to that Prepsol cleaning section after this to get some dirt off these bikes. I'm sure that's exactly where they'll be heading straight after this one. But at this point in time, no one can catch Wyatt Avis. He's done it all right, and it looks like he's doing exactly what this young lady is doing, staying at the front end. Great run there from Kayla Raff and from Avis. Topless is there, but he just can't find a way through. And every time he gets up close and personal, he's got to take into account that there is a bit of roost coming from the motorcycle ahead of him. There's our second place lady, Natasha Regani. She's also opened up a small margin now over Jadine De Lima and Cheyenne De Lima. So the two De Lima girls just staying upright, and that's probably the right thing to do, considering that this is the third round of a double-header in the National Motocross Championships. 707 is Cheyenne De Lima, so it's the first time we've seen her other than right at the beginning of the race. And no one even sees the back end. They've come up and got up close and personal. Change up a second by the looks of things there. Has there been? Yes, there has. Got a move there from Brett Bircher. He's moved up ahead of Ian Topless, so Topless now into third place. I think Bircher wants to try and see if he can get onto the back end and past the man out front there, Wyatt Avis. Avis hangs on, but going through this Thor section now, you can see the Thor rider trying to close down on the Fox rider out front. Battle of the brands there. Big look over the shoulder. What a great shot there. Coming into high flying, and here comes Topless. He's putting the pressure back onto Bircher. Oh, yes, a great battle. This is awesome to see. These three putting on a bit of a show. Pity we don't have any people in the grandstand. This is the kind of motocross action we used to see in the sort of late 90s and into 2000s when these guys were in full flight. Oh, full flight down onto the ground. There's a small mistake coming out of De Lima. Oh, that's a big pity for her. Last lap board is out. Means it's going to be a fight to the line between those top three in the MX3s. Back up and riding once again after that little incident, but fortunately going to keep it all together. Kayla Raff has done it to perfection. Can have 2 victories on the weekend, and looking like another number 1 plate could be headed her way. Problems there for that machine. That's actually Byron Lineker who went down there. So Lineker just getting that motorcycle back up and running. Took a while though. The checkered flag comes out. Is it going to be Wyatt Avis to the line? It is. Avis hangs on, but look how close Brett Bircher was. Just behind there in second place. Overall results there. Wyatt Avis taking the 30 pluses. 40 pluses goes to Ian Topless, and Kayla Raff takes the win in the ladies. Let's catch up now with Ian Topless.
Being a 2-day event, the fitness and arms and everything else need to also handle. So it's been a trying weekend.
Some more trying to happen now in MX2s, and arguably our most competitive category, headed into turn 1 Bridgestone corner as that 5-second board flips around. Our Cannabis Energy ladies will then get these guys with eyes down and racing. Look at the different lines that have been chosen today by the riders. It was all stacked in the middle yesterday in the dry conditions, and now you can see outside lines and inside lines being used as they head down towards turn 1. Who's going to have the whole shot? Look out for big action at the front end of this one, because these are arguably SA's finest riders, and a big mistake right at the start there. Oh, that is definitely not what you want to be happening. I'm not quite sure who's gone down there, but certainly a big mistake that is going to be costly. At the front end, though, it already starts. Slade Smith going at it with Goosen. Goosen on the inside. White kit on a muddy rainy day? That's not the way to go. And where's Goosen headed off to? Slightly, he's trying to stay out of the mud. That's what he's trying to do there. He's got the white kit on. He doesn't want to get dirty. Slade Smith, though, has hit the front, and look at the gap he's pulled already. Smith is doing it all right, that is for sure. Watch out for this man in the wet. He certainly knows exactly what to do. Up into second place now, looks like it's Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald just ahead of Goosen. And Goosen coming through there just ahead of Anthony Reynard. Reynard with a good start this time. Much better into the muddy conditions. He's not usually a mud specialist, but we'll watch for him as he gets his progress going through. Jesse Wright and Cam Deroe with Brad Cox just in the background there, just inside the top 10. But what a start here from Slade Smith. Kieran Fitzgerald, and then it's Goosen. Goosen looking really good. 22 on his tail is Jesse Wright. That's his teammate, of course, as they come through there. And watch out for the progress of Tristan Purdon, who yet again has got not a great start. He's always good in the latter part, and his late race pace is the big concern for most riders. But I think Tristan Purdon might be finding it a bit more difficult today in these kind of conditions. Slade Smith just getting away absolutely to perfection here ahead of the Red Bull KTM of Fitzgerald. And then it's the Monster Energy and out of Africa, Yamaha's right on his tail. Fighting in the mid-pack though, you can see, and difficult to pick up on those numbers, but you can see Purdon is sliding it, but surely made his way to the front end, just ahead there of Cam Deroe and Brad Cox. Cox now looking for a chance to maybe move up a bit higher up than what he is right now. Hasn't quite gone according to plan here in these conditions. You see Smith, that's the gap to second, and Kieran Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald now just controlling things and maintaining a decent gap over Goosen. I don't know how Goosen has stayed so clean. He has just kept that roost gap to perfection. With that white kit on, it looks like he's going to be in for a bit of a tough time to try and catch and pass, but no one's going to catch this man. Slade Smith is on fire here today. He's put it all right, that's for sure. Up to second, Goosen getting through on Kieran Fitzgerald. Fitzgerald must have made a mistake somewhere. It's not, yeah, he's dropped right back. Look at that, almost into the clutches there of Cam Deroe. Deroe now with Reynard on his tail, pushing hard to try and get up there. I think that Kieran Fitzgerald may have made a mistake somewhere out on circuit, which is a costly one. It's dropped him right out of the podium contention. That's definitely not what he wants, that is for sure. So we can see Goosen now trying to close down on the back end of Slade Smith, but Smith is controlling things from the front. And he's got this bike tuned to perfection here today. A recovery here from the Red Bull KTM rider, Kieran Fitzgerald. He's found his way back ahead of Reynard. Reynard now on to, well, that's Jesse Wright, who's just in the mix there. But I was going to say, the second Red Bull KTM coming through there. Purdon slowly but surely closing on Reynard. But he's got to get through, first of all, on Jesse Wright. Further back in the pack there, that is Daniel van Zyl closing in on Matty Green. Matty Green just the back end of the field there as well. So using that for a bit of training for the Enduros and off-roads, as we spoke about. Brad Cox, he's not enjoying life here in these tricky conditions, that is for sure. The wetness is definitely not suited Brad Cox, but it definitely is the ideal conditions for Slade Smith as he controls things at the front now, ahead of the hard-charging, but unable to close that gap, David Goosen. Goosen maybe just looking for an opportunity now just to get used to conditions here. Remember, there's a long day in the saddle today for these riders, so he's definitely going to be all problems. Once again, the 4-7 of Matty Green. That's the rider who went down earlier on in turn 1. It looks like he's just got a little bit of issues that he's trying to sort out. But he gets going again on the Husky. Smith controlling and just doing a super job out front. There doesn't seem to be anybody who's able to get through this track and around this track as quickly as what Slade Smith's able to do. Even without the goggles, he comes to the checkered flag to take the first victory of the day in the wet conditions, and he'll be happy with that. I don't know about the roost at the checkered flag, but that's for sure. Nice run from David Goosen, yet again in the top 3. It's important for him. Goosen in second ahead of Kieran Fitzgerald. Reynard up to 4th place, beating Tristan Purden in the end to the line ahead of Jesse Wright and Cam DeRoe, with Brad Cox eventually finishing in 8th. Welcome back to Thunder Valley in Pietermaritzburg for round 3 of the TRP National Motocross Championships, and straight into the 50cc's. Let's catch up with Cannabis Energy's Aidan Retief.
Trying to get a start on the inside and hold it wide open through the corner and make sure no one passes me. So thank you for Cannabis Energy Drink and all of the other people I forgot.
Now, we saw action in the MX2s and MX3s with the big wheels. Can you imagine how difficult it's going to be for these little guys on the 50cc's with their small wheels? As we've seen in all the races so far, outside and inside lines are the choice down into Bridgestone Corner. Who's going to have what it takes, though, to get the whole shot in these very tricky conditions now for these riders and to the mud. You can see some of them getting caught out by those muddy patches as they went through turn 1 Bridgestone Corner and out into the thick of it for the very first time. Is it going to be a case of Trenton Kretzmann leading things out? No, not at the moment. You can see Brody Bircher using his home track advantage on a similar vein to what his dad did in the MX3s earlier on in the show. But a good start there from Brody Bircher. You can see Damon Maloney in the background there, number 17. Great little shot there of the youngster as he comes up and over the top. Christy Fletcher in the mix there as well. But it looks like there's a big battle at the front end and problems for Maloney. Damon Maloney on the sideline. That's a big pity there for my namesake, but hopefully he'll be back up and riding. Out front, though, it's Trenton Kretzmann who's got to the front. And as we saw in the dry, now using this little motorcycle of his to get to the front in the wet, too. Goes past the down rider. You can see not jumping. That's good to see. They abiding by the yellow flags. Ooh, and nearly getting caught out in the background there. Capello. Sure. The Dwaba nearly went out the side door, never mind the front door, as he went past the down rider and nearly became the second down rider there. He's just behind the 85 there of Ross McKenzie. 555 coming through there, of course, Maxwell Faree, and Maxwell Faree closing in onto his rival. You can see the different lines from the 50cc started to come through there. They're sticking to those lines. Not, well, some of them are. Some of them are getting cross-rutted ever so slightly, but makes it very difficult for these riders. In the mix there, Damien Talliard as well on the 300 bike, and being caught and passed now by Trenton Kretzmann, who's disappearing at the front end. Brody Bircher, I think, is up into 2nd or 3rd place at this stage, but he's fighting big time there with Evan Frost. And there's a nice little battle that's going to start raging as well as Chase Becker, our championship leader, starts to close things down on the back end of them. Recovered nicely there has Cabello Ledwaba. He's up into the top 5. So after that near incident there, Ross McKenzie under a bit of pressure as they come through the final corner. And see now, just pulling a little bit of a margin there, showing the experience there, I think. That's what Chase Becker's doing. Just staying out of the very tricky, muddy sections and trying to avoid them as much as possible, where we're seeing the likes of Damon Maloney and with Cabello Ledwaba getting caught out by the mud. It's not easy to work these motorcycles in these conditions, that is for sure. Those small wheels and the small tires get clogged up rapidly, and it makes it very difficult. If you don't keep the pace like we're seeing here from Kretzmann, and the tires a chance to recover and just get all that grime and grit off, then it makes it very difficult for them to grip. Bircher's up to 2nd, as we said, and Bircher hanging on. And look at that, he's getting closed down rapidly there by Evan Frost. Evan Frost slowly but surely closing that gap down to the 2nd place man. Ooh, that was close. Big moment there for Damien Talliard. We saw him clean through the last time we got a shot of him through this corner. And now in the back, rubbing is racing, that's it. Banging bars, what is the Supercross? It's lovely stuff there, you can see as they come flying in there. The 331 bike, and then is Eli Young just being shown the way by the 80 of Cabello Ledwaba and 85 of Ross McKenzie. As the flag comes out, it's Trenton Kretzmann who eventually takes the victory and the overall for the day as well in the Air Auto Africa Husqvarna team. Evan Frost in 2nd and Bircher in 3rd, with Ledwaba beating out Raiden Willis. Moving on to the 85cc's and Pro Mini riders now. They'll be looking forward to the conditions out there, completely different to yesterday, as we catch up now with the extension of the team in Cannabis Energy and Carl Townsend in the Pro Mini category.
It's going really well. I really like the sponsor. Just got to thank Neville Naidu there. He's just been an amazing help through the 2 years that I've been with him. It's been really awesome. just need to work on the nationals a bit more, need to get more confident on the bike. But feeling really awesome so far, yeah.
Standing by for race start now as we go to the 15 to 5 second board. 5 second board is up, eyes down, gates about to drop. Bridgestone corner is where we head to. And it's Pro Minis versus the 85cc Juniors. Around the outside is the way to go, I think. And yes, it is. What a line from that outside line rider going through there. I think that might have been Bryce Peterson or Lucas Venter in the middle, though. Oh, look at that. A huge moment there for one of the riders as he goes out the front door as a down rider in front of him gave him no option. That was 444 there. Tristan Durow going straight over the down rider. He had nowhere to go and unfortunately went right over the front of the bike. 199 leads out at this point in time. Beyond deploy, he was the man who went round the outside of everybody into turn 1, Bridgestone corner. What an incredible line coming from him. Further back, they start to sort things out there, and you can see Thor Johnson getting into the mix now. The 85cc class gets underway right behind them and heads into the fray as well as they head down into turn 1, Bridgestone corner. All of them on the right-hand side, seeing that was probably the ideal line to go through, trying to stay away from that inside mud patch. Some of them getting caught up, but no one going to beat Liam Buerta by this stage as he comes through there. Nice start from Peter Brink. Peter Brink now with the rain kit on the outside, but here comes Buerta. As I said, the championship leader is the man to watch out for on the 17 with the red plate. He just got caught out ever so slightly there on the start, but he's now made his way to the front end of the 85cc Juniors. Good start here from all of our riders that are out on the circuit, and everybody trying to close down now on Vion Deploy. He's controlling things from the front end since he got through onto that hole shot. And now with a bit of pressure being shown there by Cade van Deventer. Behind that, Bryce Peterson. Bryce Peterson being closed down by Seth Young, and look out as well for Tyler Tarantino, looking to make his way to the front end as quickly as possible. Little issue there for the 89 bike, just not quite the line that Carl Townsend wanted there, the Cannabis Energy man, and he eventually gets back on track. What a start here from Vion Deploy. He really has found it absolutely perfect so far. Watch out for the progress coming from behind. They are slowly but surely reeling in the top two. There comes Tarantino. He comes flying through there just ahead of the charging riders behind. And you can see that some of the conditions, I was about to say, some of those inside lines are getting thicker and a lot more difficult to negotiate. And Cade van Deventer will tell you all about that as he goes down in that turn and just gets caught out in that very deep rut. Front end, we've got some big progress happening. It looks like Bryce Peterson is starting to close down here on the 199 of Vion Deploy. A bit of a battle royal between the two of them. Front of 85cc Juniors, though, is the 17 of Liam Buerta. He's now got to the front and is controlling things there ahead of Tyler Peterson and Ryan Adler. Difficult to pick up on some of these number boards as they come through there with all of the mud on the front. That was Neil van der Pfeiffer, if I'm not mistaken. They're just coming through there, getting a little bit of extra practice there in the 85cc Junior category. We'll see him in action later on in his actual class, but just using a little bit of extra time on track to get used to the bigger bike that he'll be stepping up to in 2021, I'm sure. That's right here from the 5.5 bike there coming through there. That is Tyler Peterson in second place for the 85cc Juniors, and problems on the sideline. Oh, that's not what you want. Trying to kickstart a bike in this very thick mud is not good, and Nathan Kuhn will tell you all about it. Kuhn now gets back up and going, but he's dropped right to the back of the Pro Minis. Front of the Pro Minis is still the 199. And what is this man going to do about him? He's closed in, but he hasn't been able to find a way past. And I think Bryce Peterson has now got his sights firmly set on Vion Deploy. Just behind them, you can see Seth Young lining up. Just behind him, that looks like Van Deventer, and then Durow. Thor Johnson in the pack as well. Problems again there for Nathan Kuhn. He's had a tough time. It's usually what happens in these kind of conditions. As soon as you go down once, you just lose that rhythm. And to try and get it back again is exceptionally difficult. He moves here in the mid-pack as well, and problems for riders, as you can see, all over the place. Now the issue you're having is the clogged up tires and giving you no traction whatsoever, unless you can make your own traction and bomb it through the inside, and that's exactly what Seth Young just found out as we saw Venter coming through there. Lucas Venter slowly but surely making his way to the front too, so Lucas Venter could be a threat at the end of this one in the Pro Minis. No one's going to catch Liam Buerta in the 85cc Junior class. He's pulled away from Tyler Peterson and Adler and Timo Topfer. So I don't think any of those guys are going to have any answer. Again, it's all about Nathan Kuhn. We could basically make it the Nathan Kuhn production here. He's given us every crash we can possibly imagine, but that's one way to get your sponsors on TV, or just get it wrong like that. Looks like Tyler Tarantino might have had a small down as well. Look at all the mud on the helmet there. So he's dropped out of contention for that top 5. He's into the 6th place. Now there you can see on his back a little bit of mud on the jersey. A lot of riders have gone down. The only two who probably haven't gone down are the two leaders at this stage. Let's have a look and see as we see this rider getting back up and going. Eventually, he finds his way onto the battlefield. Peter Brink now starting to try and make his way up into the top 5, but he's not going to do that if he crashes out like that. Great evasive riding from the man behind. Very lucky to avoid the down rider. Coming to the checkered flag. Looks like Vion Deploy's had a bit of an issue. Yes, he has. Oh, big change up there. Bryce Peterson came through to take the victory on the final lap. Lucas Venter in second place and Vion Deploy in third, beating out Seth Young. That was the overall results, but Vion Deploy some issues there in that second heat. Liam Buerta, great run for him, winning things out in the juniors. Welcome back to Thunder Valley. Oh, I hope you're going to enjoy one of those. They are definitely one of the best hamburgers you'll find around the country. The prep sol cleaning area in full effect today due to the conditions. As you can see, very muddy out there. And now looking forward to heat number 2 of MX2s at the TRP National Motocross, round 3 of 2020's championship. Outside line is where you want to be, out of the mud, and around the outside we've already seen some great starts from a couple of riders. Are we going to see more of the same as they go down towards turn 1, Bridgestone corner? Goosen trying to get the whole shot. Can he do that? Yes, I think he has. Goosen slides through there, and speaking of sliding, a couple of guys through the muddy section getting it a bit sideways too. Eventually makes it to the front end, and out of the Thor turn they come. It is 21 versus 41. Battle of ones at the front end. That's exactly what we expected to see. Goosen versus Purdon. And at the back, didn't expect to see Jesse Wright and Fitzgerald getting it all wrong, that's for sure. At the front, though, battle of the ones. 21 versus 41, and it is Goosen controlling things ahead of Tristan Purdon. Purdon now trying to close down on him rapidly. Right on their tail, it's Reynard. Gets it a bit sideways, and on his tail, it's Slade Smith. Coming through there, Fitzgerald. There's Brad Cox. Not a customary good start there from him. And Jesse Wright just behind that. Now as they get into the thick of the second heat of the day, you can see things opening up ever so slightly there, and equidistant there between the first 4 riders. The reason for that is they want to just try and stay out of the big mud roost that could come out of these bikes. It is slightly better lines than what they were in the first heat. Well, when we say that, slightly better lines are definitely not used by Slade Smith. He always comes up with his own lines as they get into the thick of the battle. So at the front, battle for the lead now, 4 riders. This time it's a little bit more of a margin as they go through the start-finish line area. You can see Slade Smith closing in on the back end of Reynard. Reynard is under big trouble there because Smith wants through. You can see how good he was in the first heat in these conditions, and he's trying to now find his way up to third place and then take on Purdon for second and possibly Goosen for the lead. He's got to get through on Reynard first, and as they come out of that big Thunder Valley jump, he's got through. He's up to third. He's got ahead of Reynard, and he's now going to try and pull away. There is your first 4 riders. That's the gap between them. They come up to this top turn. You can see coming into the section now and up towards Ogio. It's a very, very tricky little turn that comes through here. A little bit of a dry line on the outside, which they're all starting to use and staying away from the mud. You can see one line basically for this entire track starting to be used by all the riders. If you go off that line, it becomes very, very tricky and very slippery. Outside line there from Slade Smith as he tries to take a slightly different maneuver to get through there on Purdon. Here comes DeRoe, followed by Cox. Cox on his tail, and then comes Jesse Wright. They're all trying to close down there on Kieran Fitzgerald. And Fitzgerald now controlling things with that second battle on track. Slade has made up the ground and is right on the tail now of Tristan Purdon. Purdon could be in trouble. Purdon's going to have to be very wary. There is Kieran Fitzgerald, as I said, holding off this pack behind him. And these youngsters are very hungry to get through. Goosen from Purdon, Purdon from Smith. Smith should be not too far behind. There would be Reynard. And then Cam DeRoe going at it side by side here with Cox. Cox has got through on DeRoe. He's found a way past on his fellow KTM rider as they come flying through that bottom section of Thunder Valley. Back up to the top come the leaders. No problems at all so far for Goosen as he comes through 100% and up towards that Cannabis turn. And as he's slowly but surely being reeled in there by Slade Smith, and Smith getting away from Reynard. Opened up a small margin now over Anthony Reynard, but look at Purdon. Purdon applying more pressure onto the back now of David Goosen. Goosen is definitely under a lot more pressure than what he has been all race long. They're going to soak that up though, that's for sure, as they come into Prepsol. Out of Ogio and into Prepsol. Once again, Smith closes on Purdon. Purdon closes on Goosen. Great battle between these 3 riders in the MX2 category. Further back, once again, it is Cox who controls things over DeRoe. Has Kieran Fitzgerald fallen back? Yes, he has. Fitzgerald's got a bit of an issue there. He's fallen back, and you can see he's battling with vision there, ripping off those tear-offs off those Oakley goggles as he comes over that turn. But he's very, very uncomfortable at the moment, I'd have to say, for Kieran Fitzgerald. Not the way we normally see him riding behind Jesse Wright, and you could see the rhythm was completely off in his body language, not lacquer. As they come now into this turn, once again, it's Smith closing on. Oh, Purdon is in trouble now. Purdon could be closed down and passed any second now. And Slade Smith definitely wants to try and go for the overall. Oh, what a move. There's a wheel up the inside from Smith. Nearly a block pass, but of course there's not much area to block pass now when you've got all the mud to deal with. But if you can get it up the inside, there's a possibility that you could maybe make that maneuver stick, and that's exactly what he's trying. Cox now trying to get away from Duro, now that he's got rid of Kieran Fitzgerald. Great run here. There, side by side, and in the air. Is it going to be an overtaking? It is. Slade Smith overtakes Tristan Purdon in the air and flies past him. So no, just throwing caution to the wind there, not worried about the landing area and whether or not it's slippery. He gets through, and Tristan Purdon now has gone to third. And it doesn't look like he's got an answer there to Slade Smith. It's these riders as they go over the turns. You can see them using the rip-offs or using those little roll-off sections that some of the riders have got on their goggles as they come through. 100% ones with those roll-offs, just pulling it to the side to give them clear vision to try and stay at the front end of this field. Purdon now has eased off. He's going to try and set off a third place. I don't think he's got the pace. Where is Slade Smith going? I told you he tries to use different lines. Even off the circuit, Slade Smith that time. Trying to find a good run here down into Thunder Valley to close things out. Oh, here's no problem. That is not what you see on Anthony Reynard's bike. Definitely not. And a big issue there is Reynard pulls to the sideline and possibly out of this one. Something's gone bang on that Yamaha. And you can see the disappointment as he sees his fellow Yamaha riders going around the outside of him. First was Jesse Wright, then Daniel van Zyl, who's just been lapped. But at the front end, Slade Smith now is applying huge pressure onto Goosen. Can Goosen keep it all together? It's the checkered lap, and here they come to the checkered flag. Oh, he just couldn't get the drive. Good line choice there from David Goosen, gives him the victory. Might not be the overall for the day there. I think Slade Smith might get the overall, but it was very close. Goosen gets the second victory, though, ahead of Slade Smith. And then it was Tristan Purdon eventually in third place, beating Jesse Wright. Cox came through for fifth ahead of Cam Duro, Fitzgerald, and Fenta.
I'm a bit speechless. I'm really, really happy and proud of my efforts. So well done to Slade today. Slade rode great. He put a lot of pressure on me in both motos. So challenging conditions now. The rain's come back down, so it's really slippery. But my bike was awesome. Thanks to the Yamaha and Out of Africa team, everybody involved. Just there's so many to name, but thank you all. It comes from the bottom of my heart. Thank you so much.
All this national motocross action is proudly brought to you by TRP Distributors, Cannabis Energy Drink, and their associate sponsors.